up, sassy gamers? Today is December 9th, 2021. It was bound to happen. I haven't done it in a while. Season 2, episode 26. And this is our Got Our Attention podcast with Brian and Kelly in the house tonight. Well, in their own respective houses. But
what's up?
Hi, guys.
You know, I've been collecting the technology to make sure that when we do all end up in the same domicile, that we will be able to podcast. Separate mics and separate cameras.
In 2034.
Yeah, pretty much.
When the pandemic is over.
Pretty much.
We can all go to your house. When they don't even have
Yeah.
internet anymore. It's going to be the metaverse. Everything will be
it'll be
virtual
perfect.
anyway. So.
Technically, I got to get 2 more of the wireless mics, but that's okay. Since we're not going to do this super soon, I think I have time.
You can't make
Probably.
Can't make you wireless.
Can't make you wireless. Oh, we can try.
I should get a shirt that says "Can't make me wireless."
No, you should get a shirt that says "Stream like no, there's nobody watching."
I already do that. I do that now, right now.
I said you should get a shirt that says.
I feel like I haven't
accurate.
done the podcast in like a month.
It
And I
kind
know I
of
was
feels like
only-
that to us too.
I was only out. I always make fun of Bruno, but I feel like I'm also not here lately for a while. And I have a good excuse of last week. I do apologize for all of those who are listening that missed my voice apparently and missed my face if you're watching.
Who did? Who did? Who missed?
I said nobody because nobody's watching. Right?
Did we get comments on that?
Yeah. So the last week, my child decided to bring home something from the club, and when I mean the club, I mean the daycare, which was an unwanted guest, but it wreaked havoc in our household, and household meaning stomachs, as it just destroyed our immune system for a few days. So it was terrible. It was something I don't wish on anyone. And man, I'm glad that is
the worst. It's the worst.
It was the worst. It was so bad.
Oh,
And he's just like happy. He's like, yeah, blah. And he's just like, all right, I'm gonna go play, and we're like dying. Just crazy. Anyway, glad I'm back. Glad I'm alive and back. Man, that was rough.
I mean, it's proven that play and distraction like that is good for you when you're sick anyway, because it distracts from pain and uncomfortableness anyway. So, I mean, you should learn from him. He's apparently your son is very bright.
Yeah, I couldn't even get out of bed. Bad. Glad you guys carried on without me. But I did know I heard something about a button or something that you're supposedly using when I'm not here. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to
It's a
TikTok.
rumor.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard some stuff. So
No. Well, I mean, I have buttons. I always have buttons because I've got the
Magic
the
buttons.
deck.
yeah, I've heard there's like a particular button that does
What?
weird.
It was a good button.
Yeah, there's a button here I
Button
don't
of
use
wonder.
too much that like counts down from a minute or something.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
sure
that
what
one.
that's for.
Yeah, I know what that one's for. Great. Well, cool. Get us started with Kelly's Corner.
Sure.
So good at pushing this button.
Yeah, he's good at pushing lots of buttons. I don't mean that in that way. I think we should break that, even though it was unintentional.
Yeah. I mean,
Can you make that go away? Can you cut that out? The button.
that's what
All right.
she said.
So I was I'm not super active on social media. Being the social media director, that's probably a
I was
bad
gonna
thing.
say that. Isn't that your job?
Yes, it is. My one and only job, actually. But
No, it's your secondary job. Your first
true.
job is co-host.
That's true, and I do a pretty good job at that. I'm pretty
Yes.
good at that.
You're pretty. You're fantastic.
But being a parent on the weekends, I like to sort of distract myself with different types of social media that are very quick, and I have to respond and I have to comment. I can just, one
Is
of
this that TikTok website you were talking about?
one of them is TikTok. The other is Instagram. And I can just flip. It's super fast, super easy. But one of, or possibly my very favorite contributor is on TikTok and Instagram as History Feels. And he posted a picture of, I know, right? Yeah, it doesn't like that. He posted a picture of the world's 5th tallest statue. And it was a gorgeous photo, by the way. And it kind of got me thinking. Isn't it gorgeous? It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It is the Sendai Daikanon. Daikanon. I can't remember. It's Japanese, and I should be able to know that. Statue in Japan.
Oh, this
And
photo. Yeah, I saw this.
yeah, and usually I love miniature stuff, but this photo really struck me and kind of got me thinking. I guess I don't know what the world's tallest statue is. One. So I wanted to ask you guys,
Oh,
do
good.
you what is the tallest statue that you know of?
The Sphinx in Egypt.
You think that's the tallest statue?
Probably. Wow,
You've
that's
ne-
huge.
you've never seen like the Statue of Liberty?
I don't
You
know.
think it's
I mean, I've seen the Statue of Liberty. Maybe those things are bigger than that. I don't know.
okay? Well,
I've never
Brian,
seen
what
ones in Egypt. So.
without looking too close, Brian, what do you think the tallest statue in the world is?
I really couldn't tell you. I know
Okay.
I had heard at one point there was a really large statue in somewhere in the Russia area, like
Okay.
the Soviet Union, I should say, not
Mhm.
necessarily the Russia area, because it might not technically be in Russia anymore. Like, that whole Chernobyl thing is not in Russia. And then I heard of one in North Korea because, of course,
Yeah,
like
because why not?
like
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
North
if
Korea.
if
Careful,
you
you're
want
gonna
to
get
talk
banned
about a
from Reddit.
dictator, if you want to talk about a dictator
Sorry.
with penis envy, then North Korea.
Yeah. So
I thought you were going to
I
say my name for a minute, but
yeah.
that's
I
No.
thought of Christ the Redeemer in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro.
right.
Mm,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
that's a
So that one's enormous, right? But it's also on top of like a mountain or a peak, right? So apparently all of that height does not count. So I started Googling and that's what she said. So I started Googling and found an Atlantic.com article that is from 2018, but as far as I could tell, still stands true. I did some other searching. The tallest statue in the world was built in 2018, and it is of, and I just messaged one of
recently.
my, I have my friend, well, a friend of mine who also happens to be Indian. I messaged her and I was like, "How do I pronounce this? Because I'm going to mess it up on the podcast tonight." So I'm going to mess it up already because I wasn't practicing hard
Oh,
enough.
great. I can't wait to hear this.
Okay, so Vallabhbhai Patel. He's one of the founding fathers of India, and his statue stands at 597 feet tall. It's enormous.
Gravy.
Yeah.
So compared to the
Huge.
Statue of Liberty, like,
Yeah.
let's use that comparison.
Yeah.
How tall is the Statue of
Oh, hold on. Oh, we're gonna get there. Don't wait. Just wait for it. So, as Runner Diva was saying in chat, it's called the Statue of Unity. Beautiful statue. The second tallest is the Spring Temple Buddha statue in China, 420 feet tall.
Brian, you ever going to switch back to us?
No,
Okay.
not if
no.
she's talking about these statues and I'm showing pictures of them.
Yeah. So the other statue that I had mentioned is actually the 5th tallest, and that's in Sendai, Japan, 330 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to post this article, even though it is from 2018, in Twitter, so that you can see some of the more amazing photos. This whole article has the most beautiful photos.
Mike, quit flipping off the audience.
Yeah.
What?
So Brian, the one that you were talking about in Russia, maybe it's called the Mother Calls. It's in Volgograd, Russia.
Yeah, I'm showing that
It
one.
Yeah, it is 276 feet tall.
Now, see, I'm curious because I'm showing that picture right
Mhm.
now. I'm curious if that's including the tip of the sword. I mean, that is part of the statue,
I think it is because if you, I'm
which
99.9%
is
sure.
a
Yeah,
third,
yeah.
literally a third of that statue. So these other statues are like counting like the top of their head pretty much,
Mhm.
because they're not holding a big old sword up. So
Yeah.
um, that's pretty impressive.
So, the
I
Statue of Liberty.
love how much of these statues are about
Mhm.
peace and
Yes.
harmony, and then the
Yeah.
Russia statue's got a big old sword in the air.
Yeah, there are a couple of other really incredible looking ones. So definitely encourage you to check it out. The Statue of Liberty, though, what in the ranking of the world's tallest statues, where do you think it fell? Any guesses?
I
Pretty
mean,
low if you're just counting the
Yeah.
statue, because it's on a heck of a base.
Well, I think
I think the
the
base is included. I would
yeah,
think like
in
anything
this
that's
one,
made
that
from
is
it.
included. Yeah. So the Statue of Liberty is 151 feet tall.
Oh God,
It places 47th in the
I'll
world.
say, and I've been there and looked up. It's
Mhm.
really tall.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
because there's that base it's on a building essentially.
Mhm.
It's not a
Yeah,
little tiny base.
Yeah, it's a big base.
Um,
all your
in
base
that
belong.
article, it's
She's
showing it
all of
as
yeah, all your
18th,
base marks
but
belong to us. She's all
but
about that
oh yeah,
base.
47th. Yeah, yeah, right. It's 18th in the article, but that's not what place it
No.
is in tallest.
Yeah. So
Essentially,
the
it's just
art
the 18th one down on the
yeah,
article.
the article is the 15 tallest statues in the world plus 5 bonuses. So Christ the Redeemer in Rio, 98 feet tall because you don't count the Sugarloaf Mountain that it's built on.
Yeah,
And it's number 135 in the world. Isn't that crazy?
yeah,
Yeah. So I'll repost that article that because I mean just to be able to look at the pictures is pretty amazing. So because I do love everything mini though, I had to backtrack. I had
got to
to
balance shit
reset. I
out.
was like, whoa, my yin and my yang. And I ran across this article, a Vice article, of researchers. The article title is Researchers Made a Camera That's the Size of a Grain of Salt. It is a teeny, teeny tiny camera. It takes clear, full color images. Um, as good as cameras that are 500,000 times larger than it. It's using a new type of optical system called a metasurface. They just recently published a article in the the journal Nature. So you can read that article if you're really, really curious. But previous to this creation, the clear, full color pictures were only reproducible in a laboratory setting. So that's what makes this one a little bit different and pretty incredible. Um, it's made up of 1.6 million cylindrical posts. I'm going to quote directly from the article. 1.6 million cylindrical posts, which interact with the light to produce the images. These posts are as small as HIV. That's how teeny tiny they are. Um, because of the way that they're made and manufactured, they could actually be cheaper and faster to produce than the cameras we know today. So the article does show some of the images. They think that the best use of these cameras will be for endoscopies. So several
That
of
makes
us,
sense.
yeah. So you need to have clear, crisp images so that you can, be non-invasive when you're performing these surgeries. But this technology has the capability of not just turning these little teeny tiny things into cameras, but turning entire surfaces into cameras. So instead of having an iPhone and having 3 different cameras on the back to create those amazing images that you can take on your iPhone. Sorry, Zacia.
Literally
You
called a pixel because obviously.
you can make the entire back surface of it a camera and take amazing images. So I had 2 reactions to this. Whoa, and also, Imma break that.
Whoa.
So, it's pretty incredible technology.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
yeah, and it's also teeny tiny. So there's your miniature versus gigantic for today's podcast.
I mean, that's super cool and super scary at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
You
mean,
could talk about spy camera shit, right?
Yeah.
yeah, because people are having problems finding some of the cameras in Airbnb now.
Yes, I just read an article about that.
Yep.
Imagine some perv dude like that sits there and takes a handful of sand and throws it on the
Mhm.
escalator
Yeah. Ugh, yeah,
or stairs, you know.
pretty incredible.
What'd you say, Mike?
Is it just the escalator?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yes.
No,
Trying to
just
be
the escalator.
Okay.
Nowhere else.
Yeah,
Jusculator.
What's that remind me of is that game, or not game, it was like that ride at MGM. Go inside the body,
Oh,
shrunk down and
yeah.
inside the body.
Right at MGM.
Yeah.
Fun.
I know I don't know about MGM, but I know what he's talking about. It's
Yeah.
you know the Incredible Journey or something like that.
Yeah.
Based
And
off
it's like
of the
4D
book.
and everybody's like flying
Mhm.
around, looking at a screen, make you feel like you're flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's-
Based off of a book.
Anyway. Well, that's
So,
cool.
Yeah, it's
Tall
I
and small.
didn't necessarily have that prepared to show, but the images
No,
are
yeah,
actually
I didn't
pretty
yeah.
stunning
They are pretty
considering.
stunning,
I
yeah.
mean, they're not
Yeah.
like
They're not perfect. They're not
oh yeah,
perfect,
they're
but
they're really nowhere near what a camera would take today, but they're
for
also
being
they're
the
also
size of a grain of salt.
super yeah, they're also super recognizable too. Like you're like, "Oh, that's clearly a flower." And yes,
Yeah, that's a
that's a
gecko.
perfectly acceptable
Or a
picture there.
chameleon.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if it's like for surgeries and stuff. I mean, you don't need like HD 4K images. You just need to be able to see like what you're looking at.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Take us into the news, Brian. Push that button. I think I lost all my notes.
I would like to
We're
point
gonna
out that Mike
fly by the
keeps
seat of our
telling me
pants.
to push his buttons.
Let's push the buttons. You're a monkey. Push the
Push
button.
the button.
Push the button.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chemical
man.
Brothers.
Yep.
So into today's top story. Well, one of the top stories, I could say. They're all individually important. So Halo Infinite has officially been released, I guess you could say. They did come out earlier, about 2 weeks ago now, I feel like, and released a Halo multiplayer online kind of without saying anything. They just kind of did it. And I've been playing a lot of the Halo and multiplayer online, and it's been a lot of fun. And I'll talk about that a little later. But they released the campaign mode just as of yesterday, day before. I think it was the 8th. I think it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
And so people are already, jumping into that and having a good time. And one of the things that we've noticed, or that people have noticed, is that there's no way to go back and pick a level that you've already played. Like you can't go back and replay some of the missions to so if you missed out on something, for example, like there's a certain skin or something that you could have gotten from the certain level, certain part of that mission, you actually can't go back do that. There's no option. So either you start the game over or you just forget about it, move on. And so there's been a lot of people have upraged because it's just it's something that a lot of people do want to especially completionists. They want to be able to get everything, and if they miss something, or even if it's something that's cool, you just want to go back and get it. So people started tweeting out to 343 saying, "Hey, this is this is broken. Where is this? What's going on?" And at first, there was no response, and they said they're still working on the game. They're doing the thing that they're wanting to do. That just wasn't a feature that was able to come out wanted to. But they did come back out and update it again. And they said, this is from Paul Croker from 343, says to The Verge, he says, we haven't announced a date, but that is, excuse me, we haven't announced a date, but that is being worked on, Croker said. We wanted to have replays that works well, and when you have more open game, it gets a lot trickier. And then the rest of the story in the article about this. But so they have acknowledged it, and they have said that they are working on it, but there's just no date to say exactly when they're going to implement this. But I would think it's probably going to be sometime sooner than later, just because it is as a key point of a campaign where people want to be able to go back and capture all these things without having to restart the whole game.
Well, the skulls being the number one that people like, because the skulls are modifiers when you play the game. Like you can get a skull to like replay it. And they're specific to replaying levels too. That's the funny part. So not only do you go back and replay to find the skulls, but the skulls modify how you replay the levels. So that's going to be pretty important. Voice logs is another big one.
Yeah. So like every other launch, people are starting to find different things that are obviously not working.
Deficient.
Wasn't done. The other thing that is coming out later is because the other thing that is missing in this release is co-op play. You can do multiplayer, which is
right.
PvP, but co-op campaign is also missing, and that's another important one because that's where half the fun of messing with the physics is, and people have been having a blast with the physics, like taking a fusion core and putting it underneath an ATV and shooting it up in the air and then grabbing it with the grapple, the grappler, which is like a modification that goes on your fist basically, and then flying halfway across the level as you get attached to this thing.
That's genius.
Oh, it's hilarious. I mean, I love the fact that they really have a lot of the physics fun that was in the original Halo in this.
Sure.
But you can't really do that in PvP too much because the people around you aren't necessarily playing the same game that you're playing. So they're shooting you. So like the only way to do it and have fun with your friends is in co-op. Now, they do say that is coming as well. They're saying that that's going to be probably 6 months out before you get co-op, though.
Yeah, and I didn't think to mention that because they had already announced that was going to not be at launch, and they didn't really discuss it really, like why. But I guess what you're saying makes more sense. But yeah, initially too, what we heard was that they were wanting to do that on purpose to kind of make you play the game and just enjoy the campaign by yourself solo, and then you can invite your friend along to like play it later. But again, if you can't even replay the levels like that, it's not going to be easy to beat to go through. So, yeah. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, and I think one of the important things too is they said the reason why this is taking so long is because they've changed how the Halo campaign is, and it's not quite open world, but it's much closer to open world than the other ones were before. So it's a lot harder to put these things in when the campaign is now works in a completely different way. It isn't like this self-contained little level that has a start and a finish and of triggered events as you go through it. It's a lot more free form where you can kind of go. So that's kind of the reasoning behind some of this.
Yeah. So as any launch, obviously there's going to be things that people figure out, and this one actually comes from the community manager of 343, as he posted on Twitter and said, PSA, in playing Halo Infinite campaign, you will come across armor lockers that contain cosmetics for your MP Spartan.
If you lipstick are offline, and eyeshadow. Exactly. No, different cosmetics. I'm sorry. Go back.
If you are offline or disconnected from services, which can occur after quick resumes, the cosmetics won't show up in your MP inventory. And then he also responds back to another person, Sketch, looks like SKE7CH. The team is aware and will eventually have retroactive fix that you'll get the cosmetics you've earned. For now, I recommend not using a quick resume session and making sure you're online before venturing into Zeta Halo. So the quick resume feature,
So
like it's broken right now.
So you're saying that 343 Studios is not going the way of that other studio that deleted
That
all
other
of your
studio.
cosmetics and armor and weapons and left you naked. Outriders.
Yeah, not gonna say anything. So they're definitely, they're aware of things. And it's, and nowadays it's kind of funny. We were talking about this culture that kind of talk about later, I guess, with one of the games, but it's the whole culture nowadays where nothing is really even released. Like nothing is really polished released anymore. It's all everything is at best early access beta, and that's just what we get. And this is even Microsoft Studios, right? Like 343 releasing Halo, and like even this isn't like completely finished. Like we don't have co-op yet. We don't have certain things that are like part of the normal game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy that, for one, that's the culture we're in. But yeah, and people
Mhm.
complain about pre-ordering and people complain about everything, but it doesn't matter at this point. People are going to still do it, whether they complain or not. And this is the culture we're going to get. Like we're going to
Yeah.
get half finished game. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But if this is as bad as it's going to be, then I'm okay with that. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a lot of games that do a lot worse.
Should we mention
there's
that one?
We have
which
to.
also was a game pretty much like, I mean, how much was that game really affected by the pandemic?
Which one? That game? That specific game?
2077.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, it was definitely affected by the pandemic too, because I mean,
At
they
least a
were,
little bit, yeah, because it released it
but
what?
at least the QA portion of it, they were saying
Yeah.
that there was things that, when it came to QA testing the game, which was probably a big portion of the problem that we saw. But it's they were all testing
I
from home
mean,
and having to try to communicate over online means or whatever that was. And we get it. I mean, I'm working from home. I know you work from home. Kelly drinks from home. There's a lot of things that we're familiar with.
you can't
So
do that while she's literally taking a sip of something.
so we all understand like the challenges that we're faced when we're all virtual essentially.
It's like we're gonna look at Kelly and it's gonna be like, did you ever were you just go through in a rainstorm or something? All the droplets right across her camera.
Yeah.
Literally almost did that.
Dang. Next time. Try
Yeah.
harder. But like I said,
For the record, I have to take my kids to school and pick them up, so I don't. But hysterical nonetheless. I'm not like
Yes.
wasted all day on my bed
I mean, don't
couch
tell the secrets.
playing.
You're named Day Drinker. I mean, come on.
I know. It's true.
God, magic behind the scenes, right?
And I don't have any
So yeah.
kids, so it's cool.
Yeah, don't spoil the magic by looking behind
Yeah.
the scenes.
But there, like I said, if this is the worst thing that 343 can come out with Halo, and they do deliver on the promises of like getting the multiplayer, better, getting the co-op into the game, which, like I said, they mentioned that early. That wasn't like a surprise at launch. And then also, getting these saves in, that's kind of like a huge thing at launch when you're trying to get back. If they can deliver on that stuff pretty quickly, then overall the rest of the game doesn't turn out to be like any game breaking bugs or anything. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything considered, it has been a very successful launch.
Yeah, and I've definitely been playing the multiplayer. We'll talk about that later, but yeah, it's been a lot of
Yep. PlayStation is finally doing what we expected them to do, kind of maybe, and trying to come up with some type of answer to the Xbox Game Pass. So they're releasing a new service called Spartacus.
I mean, how they've had how long?
Well,
unfortunately, nobody has a PS5, so they won't be able to play this Spartacus.
Right. I love how they're keeping the God of War, trope going here. So that's kind of cool with Spartacus.
Yeah, that's cute.
It's interesting because you have a couple of features that already existed for the Sony side. PlayStation Plus, where you got free games very similar to Xbox Gold, Xbox Live Gold. And then they had PlayStation Now, which was like a streaming service. And in all reality, they kind of already had some similar features that Xbox Game Pass had. Now, granted, uh, PlayStation Now had a very, very rocky launch. It was not very playable at the start for streaming games. From what I heard, it's much better now. It's going to come in multiple tiers. Not a shocker. Technically, so does Game Pass, because you can get just Xbox Gold, right? You can get Game Pass for just the Xbox or just the PC, or you can get Game Pass Ultimate, which is, kind of all three of those things together. But yeah, they're going to have the first tier, which is just really what PlayStation Plus is right now. It can be no different. And that's going to be an access to a large selection of PS4 titles with PlayStation 5 titles coming eventually. Sorry, that's part of the second tier. So the first tier is PlayStation Plus. Second tier will allow players to access a large selection of PS4 titles and PS5 ones eventually. That sounds like that you'll have kind of that Netflix type subscription service where you have a library of games as long as you're paying and you can download them and play them, right? The third and highest tier will include the extended demos, game streaming, so not just downloads, but actually just real-time instant on streaming from a network, and which is essentially folding in the PlayStation Now that we talked about, and a library of legacy content from PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PSP games.
That is awesome.
Which, finally, because as much as they have downplayed or flat out said that backwards compatibility is of no interest to anyone and they don't care to spend a lot of, resources on it, it's nice to see that they're going to have that at least. I mean, they're not saying if that's streaming only or if that downloads and runs on some type of emulator or what. I would suspect that's streaming only. No Vita games.
Shocker.
I mean, because they did say PSP.
Well, yeah.
Oh my god,
So
that brings back some memories, man.
I have one still.
So they weren't like leaving mobile gaming out here. It's just they're not saying Vita. Some people are kind of guessing that it's because of the particular control mapping that was would be involved with the Vita, because like the back of that thing was actually a touchpad.
Slow down, careful. We have younger listeners.
I mean, I'm not gonna go. Okay, sorry, I already went there. Because that was a popular joke on the internet of like, you're already holding it, so what are you going to rub the back of that thing against? To activate that touchpad.
Definitely had to go there, didn't you? Just had to.
Well, I mean, why not? Everybody else has made money off of that. Why can't we not make money off of that?
This is true. This is a good point.
No, it looks interesting. I mean, I think it likely will be competitive. They did not mention pricing. Also, they didn't talk about where they're going to host this, because I don't know if you remember, but I believe we've talked about this in the past, that PlayStation Now is hosted on Microsoft Azure platform.
Yes, we did talk about this. It may have been before me, actually. So
yeah. So
before Kelly.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll continue. It's literally a different, not only a different department, but it's a completely different business section of Microsoft that has the Azure platform. So there's not really as much in the way of like conflict of interest there, as much.
I mean, I
Um,
don't think Microsoft's going to care if they're paying money to Azure. Like,
no, I don't think
PlayStation,
Oh,
Microsoft's going to
they're
care.
yeah, if
that
PlayStation wants to
Microsoft will
move, they could just go
encourage
AWS.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could
Yeah.
go AWS, but we see how they've had recent issues. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. That's I was going to say that is AWS has had some problems recently.
I mean, they had a fairly
Just
good
a couple.
launch, at least for New World. Like they were able to keep all of those servers up, and for the most part, pretty solid
Running
launch.
ish. Yeah.
Yeah, solid
You couldn't
launch.
get onto
Yeah.
them, but yeah.
It's I mean, even
Well,
getting
that
on
was
not
a
really their issue. That was the,
Yeah.
that was
the people wanting to get on the same servers, but
yeah, same
it's-
servers as the popular streamers that were getting reimbursed by Twitch, is owned by Amazon, to like stream the game.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind
Hmm.
of interesting.
Well,
That is
the
interesting.
next section of news talks about a game that I don't really play anymore, but Phoenix loves to play this game. I played occasionally, but we're going to get into Fortnite news. Go
Sure.
ahead.
So I was able to stream the end of chapter 2, which predictably ended in. I was expecting it to end in a date of when you could play chapter 3, but just ended with you floating in the water. Interestingly enough,
Aw.
a lot of people were like estimating that it was going to be Tuesday before it was playable. Ended up being playable the very next day.
That's awesome.
Similar to New World, there was difficulties just in getting onto the servers. They were very popular. The Fortnite servers were quite. Once you got onto the server, it ran fine, but getting onto it was a bit difficult. There's been massive changes in the game. Just launching the game with 0 changes, I went from chapter 2 running about 120 frames per second to chapter 3 running about 40 frames per second.
Oh, man.
And like it was rumored, what they had done is they had updated all of Fortnite to Unreal Engine 5. So their brand new game engine that they create to allow developers to create their games on. And because of that, Fortnite Chapter 3 really is the first Unreal 5 game that's out there right now. And they like just my frame rate can tell, that's for certain. But when you play it, you'll notice things like there are graphical glitches. It is new. So I've seen the grass flashing in and out. But the draw distance is substantially increased. It used to be you would drop in and there would be a whole bunch of pop in right before you got down towards the ground. I haven't noticed the pop in at all right now, and I don't know if it's because they're drawing earlier or it's just popping in when the objects are small enough that I just don't notice it. There's of course the new mechanics and new guns and all that stuff that comes with chapter 3, but really the fun of it is it looks very much like it did before, just more of it in kind of a little bit more detail and stuff. So looks pretty good. However, interestingly
How-
enough,
Okay.
what?
However, interestingly enough, I think this is
A stroke over there?
She's fine.
never mind. You go ahead, and I'll catch up with you. Oh, you know what? This is me. I think. Well, I'm just gonna take it. Why not?
Sure.
So people, quote from IGN.com. People are praising Spider-Man in Fortnite, especially for the web slinging. So Spider-Man in Fortnite web slinging, so you can shoot the web onto the side of a building in like it looks like the movies, right? It's got a good sling. In other games that shall not be mentioned, it looks like you're like sliding onto a like glass ceiling and then swinging. So it looks really cool. There is talk of making this available for other characters. I am pretty sure, unless I misread that, if it may already be available, and I could just be super late on this. So Spider-Man being available in Fortnite is also one of the only ways that Xbox and PC owners can actually play Spider-Man, at least in as far as a modern game is concerned. Everything else is owned by Marvel's content is owned
Right.
and only played by Sony characters. So
Yeah.
if you wanna, yeah.
It looks really good too. I took a look at the videos
Mhm.
that people have posted
It
on
looks
Twitter,
super cool.
and the first thing I said to Phoenix earlier, I said, "Well, so how do you kill someone that's Spider-Man? Because like the way they're able to move so
Mhm.
quickly by web
Mm-hmm.
slinging is like, and also like not it's web surfing, I guess they call it, when you actually stick a car or a vehicle and you kind of just surf off the back
Yes. You
of a
can
vehicle.
sling into a car and then just hold on tight and
While
get
the
to where you
car
need to go.
drives off.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just ski along the roads. I mean, it's like I don't know how you would fight against that. I mean, he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, you do like anything else, you just shoot him." I'm like, "Okay."
Alright.
It's just I haven't done it yet, so I don't know what that feels like, but
Oh.
it seems like it would be tough.
Yeah, and i- the cool thing is I haven't seen it yet, and I don't know. Again, like Daydrinker said, I don't know.
Mm.
I've heard that this is going to be available to other characters because the concept of
Yeah.
skins has always been that everybody has the exact same abilities.
Yep.
Like you can slide now, which is great way to get down hills fast.
We saw
S-
you doing that in the stream over the weekend.
yeah, sliding is a
Mhm.
blast.
Yeah.
Um, there's things that haven't made it in yet as well, like the weather effects. There's supposed to be tornadoes that like literally pull you up in the air and you go flying around and everything. So I'm suspecting between I
Sorry.
suspect between that and no, it's perfect. And the Spider-Man stuff that people are going to get a lot better at just aiming at a flying thing and shooting at it because and they had a little bit in chapter 2 because in chapter 2 you had
The
I forgot,
aliens,
yeah, the
the abduct
alien ships with the slipways that you could fly in. I forgot what they actually call them, but those were just in the air and I'd be flying along with those and people would be tagging me all the time.
Yeah.
So they've already started to get some practice in it. While all that is good, and again, not all the features are released yet, so they're still working on that. Uh,
see, and that's not.
right, even that didn't launch with
Mhm.
everything. Yeah, that's a good point
Yeah.
there,
I mean,
Zeiss. Yeah,
that's at least a growing game, like a what do you call it? Like an evolve. What is it called?
live.
Living game.
Living him.
Yep.
So I mean, it's like I don't expect that to have everything.
Yes, yes, yes.
I
Yeah.
already knew.
While that was good or at least neutral news, there was some bad news around this, and that's because within the last few months leading up to Chapter 3, uh, there was a couple of Fortnite content creators on various streaming services. Let's just call it. It's going to be pretty much Twitch that got banned, and it was for violating the terms of service by sharing their account with someone else, which is an understandable terms of service. A lot of people think this is coincidental with the release of Chapter 3 and that maybe they were using that as a way to punish them because they were quite likely talking about leaks that had come out before Chapter 3, like everyone was anyway. But there's no real proof of any of that other than that, they got banned before Chapter 3 released, and it's a timing thing. We may never know, but certainly the community's come together and is very upset about it. Just saying, hey, these guys haven't hacked the game, they haven't exploited the game. Their only mistake was, that they allowed someone to log in with their credentials. So that
It's
continues to be something that people are upset about.
it's one of those things. It's like it's the terms of service, so like can't go against that, and you can't be upset when they tell you like been banned because of that. But I'm just thinking of like
They can be
parents.
upset. You just don't have much of a leg to
Yeah,
stand on.
well, I'm thinking about like parents and like little kids. Like you come over to my house and I
Yeah,
let you play on my controller. Like you're breaking terms of service. Like you could lose your character like that. But that I'm sure that happened a lot.
right.
But it's like you know, but they're going
But
to go
it's
after people
it's
who are blatantly
also
doing it. So
it's also part of the terms of service that they don't care about enforcing because it's being played on the same computer or console or phone for that matter, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty much in the same location, versus me having, this account and then Day Drinker uses it, a totally different PC that it's installed on, totally different, location and all that stuff. So there's a little bit of difference there, but I get what you're saying that as far as the terms of service goes, sure sounds like exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's go out there and ban a whole bunch of 8-year-olds.
Yeah, that don't or shouldn't probably have an account anyway. They're supposed to be like 13.
Fortnite's gonna be a lot harder to play if we ban all the 8-year-olds. Let me tell you.
Oh God, yeah, for sure.
Or easier.
Harder. No, harder.
Okay.
I've played with a team with some like 12 and 14 years old. Yeah, I'm being very careful there. I said played on a team.
He did say team. Team was in the center there. We're good.
Yeah. Well, and I was also careful because they're like, "Hey, you're cool. We want to friend you." And I was like, no, that is not appropriate. I am not going to accept any friend request. No, I'm making my voice deeper so you'll think I'm older. But yeah, I mean, most of them aren't that good. Like these 12 and 15-year-olds for the most part, they're not that good at Fortnite.
Okay.
We're gonna get triggered. We're gonna have like hate mail.
I know. Oh my God. If we got hate mail,
right? Great. That means that we're reaching the 15-year-old audience. I would be so excited by that.
Send us all the hate mail you want. Come on, bring it.
Well, in that note, we're gonna take a few minutes here to refill our drinks and listen to a word from our sponsor. And we're back. So, welcome back, podcast. It's me, Mike, and I'm here to talk about. I think we'll have reschedule.
Glad this is at the middle of the podcast and not the beginning.
Also, was Mike miming losing video, or was he actually cutting out there for you?
No, it's fine.
He's in fine. Well, you wouldn't know.
I mean, I'm watching the stream as well.
Agree with Kelly.
You're watching the stream, but are you listening to the stream?
Oh no, I wouldn't listen to it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I know we haven't got in. We usually get into another segment, but going back to our a little bit behind the scenes to the break in between where most of the people that are listening didn't get to hear. We were joking about me like listening to Spotify, and it was like telling me my year wrapped up in podcasts. It's like, you've listened to Got Our Attention podcast is your favorite.
This is not something you should be telling these people right now.
I'll tell them, it's fine. And it says like your top podcast is Got Our Attention, and it's like you've listened to 4 episodes, and I was like, wow, pretty good. I mean, it's fair. I'm not going to listen to our podcast in full. I lived it. So, like, I don't need to.
But also, like, you've only that's your top podcast, and you've only listened to 4.
Yeah.
So, like, I actually listen to podcasts on Spotify so that I know people get, compensated for that. Like, I know that there are ads that get played here on Spotify that they'll get paid for. So that in any music or podcast streaming.
And I mean, and we go back to this is
the two of you are killing me.
I know. I'm so sorry.
You're killing me because I keep wanting to say, because you keep going Spotify.
Yeah, I know. That's Spotify. Yeah.
No. And I keep wanting to say, and Spotify will sponsor you. And then I'm like, son of a biscuit. They own Anchor. And technically we do a commercial for Anchor in the middle. So they already sponsor us. So I can't use that joke. You guys are killing me with that.
So the reason why I don't listen to as many podcasts as you would think is because I used to drive to work, right? And now I'm working remote, so I don't drive anymore. So I don't really have time to like just put on something to like aimlessly take my mind off of driving.
You can while you're cleaning, while you're mowing the lawn.
Mowing the lawn?
Friend.
All you have to do is look over at that little device over there and say, Alexa, play Got Our Attention on Spotify.
That's where you failed. I wouldn't be having an Alexa
Damn it,
device.
why'd you talk during that? I was trying to get people's Alexa to play our podcast.
But they'd be listening to
They'd
the
be
I know,
listening.
that's part of the joke. The inception part of the joke.
Oh God, the Alexa devices inside the Alexa devices are going to listen. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Alexa, shut off.
Well, I'll just say you're missing out on a lot of really great content, Mike.
I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff out there. Anyway, moving on into what we've been playing. And if you guys liked that little bit of crap rate that we just talked about, you should meet us live on the podcast so that you guys can watch us and hang out with us during the break. So anyway, so what we've been playing, interesting week, because I feel like I've only been playing one game, and then I went to list the games that I've been playing, and I was like, wow, I've actually played a lot of games. And also being out last week, I didn't get to talk about the games that I've been playing, so here we are.
Yeah.
So starting off, game of the moment. Game of the moment we played this week is Icarus, and Icarus is a game that I also have been just playing outside of just game of the moment. But Icarus is a survival game that is made by Dean Hall and Rocketworks. So Dean Hall is the creator behind the DayZ standalone game that came off from the Arma 2 mod. And if you're not familiar with DayZ, it's basically an open world survival game where there are zombies. The way I used to explain it to people was imagine playing The Walking Dead. So like the way that movie or that show is, like it's like that, except like the whole idea is the zombies are not really the problem, it's the people. So multiplayer game, people are doing things, blah blah blah. This is backstory.
Talk about Icarus, though.
I know, but so backstory, DayZ, wasn't it? It was a book originally, right?
No, that's World War Z.
World War Z. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, DayZ was its own thing. Just
Okay.
Days Zero essentially was the original idea. But so fast forward, Dean Hall left DayZ, and then years later, now he has come out with another company, Rocketworks. I think he works with. Basically, and created a game called Icarus. And Icarus is also a survival game, very much in the same vein of like the way that DayZ worked, except the biggest difference here is that it's not a multiplayer game in the sense of PvP and PvP or PvE. So not just player versus player, not just player versus environment, but it's a co-op up to like 8 other people. Or up to 7 other people, they include you, but it's PvE. So it's just you with your friends against the environment, which is really neat. There's other games that are kind of like this. I think I've talked about The Force and things before. I think we've played that on the Game of the Moment at one time. And it has the same kind of feels of those type of games, except it has a lot more physics, a lot more survival, and the world looks really good. So it's
a lot more animals than I have seen any of the survival games you've played. I mean, and sure, yeah, there's the deer, and then there's the wolves, and even bear. We didn't get to see a bear during
they're crazy wolves, by the way.
Yeah.
Like,
but I want to point out that there's fish in the rivers and the lakes that you actually see the fish moving around, so you can shoot with a bow and arrow, I guess maybe even a spear or gun for that matter. The actual fish that is moving around in the water, that I've not seen a survival game with the number of animals that this thing has in it. It's really good looking.
Yeah.
To boot.
So that and there's been bears, there's polar bears. I've seen we saw a buffalo yesterday, we saw some hogs. And there's a lot of it too is kind of weird because of the way that Icarus is. So Icarus is like this random planet, like somewhere in the space at somewhere point. And from the light story that I've understood so far,
close to the sun, apparently.
Yeah, the story that I've lightly picked up on so far is that you're like a prospector and you're basically going down to check out this planet, and you start off with having to learn the lay of the land, how to survive, and then they start assigning you different missions to like go down and go, hey, explore this area, this region, because we haven't seen that yet. Or hey, go kill this animal that we've heard is like vicious. So it's very much like an Earth-looking world, except it has like some different parts. So it goes from very like hot, like foresty type area to like all of a sudden there's like snow. and there's polar bears and like stuff that you wouldn't expect. Another thing too with animals is that there are so the wolves are one of the ones that you talked about, and the wolves are interesting because they do use pack mentality. So if you're shooting a deer and you're trying to get lunch, right? You have to be very careful because if you shoot that deer and you leave that, if it's too far away and you leave it, the wolves will start coming for that deer. And if you're in the middle of trying to skin that deer to take the meat home, you turn around and there's a wolf like looking at you going like, "Hey, you look good." And then another wolf shows up
Nom,
and
nom,
then
nom,
you're
nom.
like, crap. So it's definitely not, it's very unforgiving when it comes to battling a wolf. Like you will die pretty quickly. It's the curve of death is pretty high at first.
Mhm.
Anyway, fast forwarding. So
Oh, especially
um,
since it has no shyness whatsoever of just like, hey, you're level 1 and I don't know, we just randomly spawned a level 23 wolf next to you.
yeah, yeah,
Not
it's
That
not
was
right
very,
next
surprising
to
to
very
me
you,
random.
but
too. Yeah, I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah,
that one's like
yeah,
jumping pretty
definitely
high."
random on that. Like you can find all kinds of different levels, and it does show you the level of the animal
Uh,
next to you. But what takes this game a little differently, the what I've noticed is a little different than most of the survival games because I've played pretty much a lot of them, and is the replayability. Usually they game loop, right? So I'll get stuck in these games, especially like the forest, and I'll go through the crafting, the tech tree that you can basically do, and it's just basically how much can I build. And in a lot of those games, like for example, the forest is the one that they like the night cycles the way that the game resets each time, and the enemies get harder and harder. So you're constantly trying to rebuild, and there's like enemies, and you're building enemies, and that's pretty much the game outside of the light quest, like the actual story that you can kind of do. But it's kind of like kind of just weird. But um, so the difference with this game is there is quests. So you do go down and you start building things, and there's like a quest you're looking for. Like I said, the early ones are really easy. Go look at this area and report back. Cool. But when you're done with that area, so at the very top of the screen there's a countdown timer, which is in real lifetime. So it says like 6 days, 5 hours, 37 minutes, 10 seconds, and that when that is over, this mission has to be turned in, or you don't get it. So you only have that little window. Little window. I say that, but I mean you have to work, right? Like you real life have to work and do things. So like that
yeah.
time starts kind of getting limited. So you basically do your thing, you turn it in, and then you fly back in your little capsule, go back to space. And when you go pick the next mission, you fly back down to the same planet because you're on Icarus, and then all your stuff's gone and you're like having to start over. So you're like, crap, well, that's stupid. Well, it's not because they added in the tech tree. The tech tree and the talents stay with you. So you unlock those as you start playing the game, as you progress. And each level, you get so many points for tech tree and talents, and you can use those again in the future. So the second time you go down, if you've unlocked the bow and arrow, the axe, the walls, the build, then you already have that. So all you have to do is gather material rather than try to get the levels to get the XP to get there. So that part's really cool. And then also the fact that the missions are very different in the sense of like I'm going in, I'm doing this, and I'm getting out. Like that's the idea. And as soon as you're done, you can get back in the craft and just fly away. So I don't get really stuck on the the gameplay loop of just like building and building and building and trying to do that. Like I build what I need to do and survive
GTFO.
and then like do the mission and then get the hell out of there because like there's polar bears and shit. Like I don't want to just stick around. Like it's pretty nuts.
Oh, the
Anyway,
polar bears.
I've had a lot of fun. The fire is actually a really neat mechanic to watch. So when things do get caught on fire, which I talked about on the actual game of the moment this week, but it looks really great. So I would definitely recommend. It's $30 right now on Steam. It does have mixed reviews. I'm telling you right now, as a person, this is my opinion of a person who does play survival games and does enjoy this stuff. Um, I'm really enjoying this game right now. It's been a lot of blasts. I haven't really had a lot of bugs, I would say. Yeah, there's some janky things here and there. People are complaining that it's not a finished game, which is what I was talking about earlier. Nothing's finished anymore. But for what it is, it's
it's
doing pretty
accurate.
well. And in a little tidbit, if you do filter on Steam those reviews and say anything over 5 hours played, so someone who's actually tried to play the game, they're mostly positive.
Ah.
So take that with a grain of salt. As I said, if you listen to my opinion for survival games, I would say check it out. It is $30 right now on Steam, and I think it's the only place you can probably pick it up at the moment. But it may go back on sale. I think I picked it up for $27 because it was first launched. They usually do like a little discount. So anyway, that's Icarus. Check out our video game of the moment early this week. Check it out.
Listen, you're the only opinion that I listen to for survival games, and it has not. Don't you laugh, but it hasn't steered me wrong. I mean, you got me on Valheim, and I had a blast playing Valheim. So
It's true. Yeah, that's and I will say this game reminds me a lot of Valheim. Reminds me a lot of The Forest. It also reminds me of Lost, like the show.
Yes, it does.
Because like there's a random polar bear and I'm in the forest.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that about? Like
I'm
that's
glad you said that because I thought the same thing. I was like Lost, like
yeah, it's an interesting game.
just need random metal covers that are covering up tunnels in the middle of the jungle and smoke monsters, and we've got it.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Fine.
So
Just wait for the DLC.
Yes.
So really quick, I'm gonna talk about these other two, and then we'll get into the games we played as a group. So one of them is the lawn mowing simulator.
Yes, we talked about that. We talked about an article about it last week, but
so really quick, great idea, great execution.
Oh, it's farming simulator, not lawn mowing. Go ahead.
Great game, great execution. You're basically starting a lawn mowing mafia empire or whatever. The only problem
Business
is a business. The only problem with this game that I have is that it is a simulator in the sense of it's a little too real. And cutting grass growing up like on a lawnmower in a big field, like it takes forever and it is annoying. I almost want to put earbuds inside my earphones.
That's a great time to listen to a podcast, Mike.
Like, literally listen to a podcast.
Literally.
Grass. And this is a great story is when my wife walked in and she looks at the screen and she goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, cutting grass. She goes, "You wouldn't even do that outside. What are you doing now?" And I'm like,
hey,
well, whatever.
It's better for your allergies.
Oh, his allergies, sure.
She said, and then she said, like, what are you going to be doing next? Washing clothes? And I'm like,
well, you wouldn't do that anyway.
Laundry simulator. That's going to be the next one.
Like folding
clothes.
Oh,
you heard it here first.
I also find it funny that you say it was too much a simulator, yet what was it? It was probably 2 months ago where we had the story where people, and I think this was Kelly's story, where people were complaining about Lawnmower Simulator not being a true simulator. And they were saying, oh, well, this such and such model actually doesn't do this or would perform better in wet grass and not so much of a simulator here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm not like an aficionado on lawnmowers and such. So it's like, I'm not like, but just like being a person who's cut grass like a lot, it's not fun.
And none of that's against you because we've said the exact same thing with, racing games where one person considers it more of a simulator and another person considers it more arcade just based off of, a lot of their real life experiences. And I don't know about you, but I haven't real life raced, an open wheel Indy type car, formula car,
Yeah. But
I've raced one time.
Or a supercar for that matter.
Cool. The biggest complaint I have about the game, and this is really the only thing that I really I'm hating on, is the fact that you cannot save in the middle of a job. So
these can do in real life. You're like, listen, I'm going to take a break.
I'm going to
I'm going to make a sandwich. So
drink a beer.
Drink a beer. As a person, you don't live in the house. Like I'm going to go to McDonald's and pick up a food, and I'll be
right back.
But there's no way to save the game in the middle of your job. So
that's not
these jobs take 30 minutes. Like the very first one takes 30 minutes to cut real lifetime. So and they only get bigger from there because the yards get more complex and things. So I literally in the middle of that, I was probably 85% done, but I had to get to 99% and I had to leave because I was doing something and I couldn't save it. I had to leave out and lose all my experience and lose everything from the mission. So I was like, well, I'm not going to play this again. So I uninstalled it. So that's my biggest complaint. But other than that, I mean, it definitely felt like I was cutting grass. It pissed me off enough to feel that. So I guess it's pretty good on the simulation portion. Anyway, so that's that. And the last game I've been playing again is Rocket League because that's my crack. Anyway,
Oh my
that's pretty much
God.
it on that.
No, you can't leave it at that.
Can't just leave it like that.
No,
Come
but
on, man.
no, hold on. I'm saying this in all seriousness because there was a specific story about Rocket League that Day Drinker and I specifically did not talk about last week because you were not here, and that's a new Rocket League that got released.
Right. So Rocket League, I think it's Sideswipe or Swipe something. Anyway, I haven't checked it out yet. I was on the fence of downloading it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to dedicate my whole time for everything on this game. So I haven't downloaded it yet, but I'll have to check it out and report back next week.
Okay.
But there is a free mobile game now for Rocket League, and it looks actually pretty interesting because it's platformer-ish kind of looking. But you can do aerials, and I don't know. It seems very interesting. I don't know if I want to download it.
I think it's interesting because it takes this concept of Rocket League, which is, let's just face it, car soccer.
It's
Right.
super acrobatic rocket-powered battle cars.
No, that's the old game that didn't make it. It's car soccer where the cars have jets on the back of them so they can kind of do some aerobatics in the air. And they basically take that 3D concept and then do this side view of the entire field. So you've got the goals on either side, you got cars, and then you've got the height of the arena. And the cars do aerobatics through the air and hit the ball. And what I love about it is the air acrobatics is an integral part of this mobile game because the goals themselves are not at ground level.
Right.
They're actually lifted up a bit. So you have to be able to hit the ball in such a way, either angled up if you're down, the ground, or angled, down if you're near the top, so that they actually go in the goal, which is kind of round in the middle area. So it's a pretty neat little concept of taking this 3D game and moving it into 2D. I'm pretty impressed with what I haven't played it, but I'm pretty impressed with what I saw.
Put it after the podcast and I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'll report back next week. But I'm like cracked out. I'm like sitting here playing this game the whole time. Like sitting here on the next podcast. Anyway,
He's not gonna be paying attention. He'll be playing it.
I'm not sure I'm gonna play it too much more. I did it for a purpose. Some friends want to play it, so I did that. But I'm not gonna I don't think I'm relapsing. So I think we're okay for now. The next two games, we actually, let's talk about Halo, I guess, and then we can talk about the next one. So Halo Infinite, I have played the multiplayer a lot. And I say a lot, like probably like a little bit a night. Like we'll jump on some friends of us.
How much have you been dying a lot still?
Yeah, we die a lot. It's a part of the game. That's why they have.
Halo's got. Halo's fun because it's a very short time to kill or be killed, but it's also an extremely short time for you to get back in the action. So it's like you're never really all that bored. You're just constantly doing something.
So the game to me has been, at least the multiplayer. I haven't played, like I said, the campaign, but the multiplayer has been a lot of fun. Like Brian just said, it's very fast paced, very just in the same veins of old Halo, like playing locally, like a LAN with like your friends next to you. But it's been a lot of fun. They have a lot of different game modes. There's I can't remember what the game mode with the ball is. I can't remember, but it's basically like hot potato, and you want to grab it. Well, not hot potato. You want to grab the ball
it's
and
oddball.
Oddball, yeah. So the ball, like the skull, shows up somewhere on the map. You want to pick it up and hold on to it. The longer you hold it, the more points you get. But of course, if you get killed and someone drops it, the other team will pick it up and they'll try to hold it. So it kind of like constantly evolves the choke points in the map because people are constantly moving, trying to get it to different areas, and then they get shot and they're like holding up in a room. And it definitely changes the mechanics of like the way that you get into choke points and like the way the strategy is around it. So that's been a really cool mode. There's the power shards as well that we talked about, where you have to go get the power shards and deliver them back, and then people are obviously trying to kill you the whole time. But I've been playing a lot of the 4v4s, and it's been a lot of fun. All the weapons are really cool. The vehicles have been a lot of fun, and it's a very fast paced game, and it's just something that's really easy to jump into and jump out of as well.
It's also got so much variety and even more than it used to, because there's the different game modes. And right now they're kind of just rotating through game modes from what I've seen. I think there are some servers you can join, but for the most part, you just join and rotate through different game modes. But yeah, there's different game modes. There's all the different vehicles. There's the ability to use the grappler, which also allows you to hijack vehicles, which is amazeballs. I saw this great clip. So there's the Ghost, which is kind of like a hover motorcycle with guns, basically. It's the easiest way to say it, right?
That's what I'm driving on Waze right now.
There you go.
Yeah. No
That's
joke.
awesome. That is awesome.
That's something I should talk about. Go ahead.
That's awesome. I didn't know about that. That's amazing, actually.
So
but
go ahead.
By showing.
Oh, go ahead and say it. You got it.
No. Go. We'll talk about it right after.
No, you. No. So anyway,
no, you go.
So yeah, there was a clip that I saw of a guy that was driving a Ghost, and he was cruising along, and a guy got on and hijacked the Ghost from him, but he did it right by a cliff. So the guy got ejected from the Ghost and is standing on the ground right by the cliff, and the Ghost is half off the cliff and starting to tip back. So he goes, okay, melee, bop. And he hits the Ghost off the cliff with the guy who just hijacked it. He's like, bye-bye, mother effer. I was like,
that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Halo. It's just, there's a lot of fun to it. There's a lot of different game modes, and I'm sure they're going to bring more as time goes on.
Yeah.
And now that we're going to be occupied with the campaign, we'll get back to that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So it's free. It's not free. It's included with Xbox Game Pass currently. Not available anywhere else.
I think it's probably, $60 on Steam?
Can you buy it through Steam?
Yes. Absolutely you can.
I didn't realize that. Well, it's definitely $60. I thought it was only included with Xbox.
No, that's just like they want to make money. I mean, okay, so again, multiplayer is free everywhere. That's the whole point. But the campaign, which we had also talked a little bit about, even though we haven't played that yet, that is available on Steam for $60 and available with your subscription on Xbox Game Pass.
Sweet.
Okay, so Kelly, talk about your ways.
So I did news short, which is never short for me, and this one won't be either.
Wait, what happened to the Halo thing?
That's what we're talking about.
Ways?
I did a news short about, this is months ago. This is back in the summer, about how you could change your voice in your car to be a warthog or a ghost, and then the voice could be Master Chief or Eshram, and they got rid of those voices aren't always available, right? Like I had Cookie Monster for like a really long time, and then Cookie Monster went away, and when I went to go look at other voices, and I was like, nope, I'm not getting rid of Cookie Monster. He was like, D is for cops, but also for cookies. Like he'd say funny stuff. Anyway, so Master Chief and Eshram still available. You can also still change your car to a Ghost or a Warthog, and I thought there were a couple of other options, but I wasn't gonna, go through a whole bunch of stuff. But if that's what you're into, definitely, like right now, Master Chief is my voice. It was Paw Patrol before that, so I went from Master Chief to Eshram to Paw Patrol. No, I'm pretty sure it was
Sky,
yeah, because of my girls. And then I was like, so it was a little helicopter, pink helicopter, and then I went back to Master Chief, and I'm in a ghost now. So
nice.
If you see me driving around, hey.
So the last game that we actually all played, this was a few weeks ago, and I think it kind of got buried and we forgot about it. But it was something we played during Thanksgiving, which is not necessarily the time to play this game, but hey, whatever.
Halloween is a lifestyle, not
for you.
No, she's not alone.
I am not alone.
I mean,
So-
anybody who cosplays cannot disagree with that statement.
I cosplay and I disagree with that statement. Anyway,
You are contradictory, my
Ooh,
friend.
Dim's fighting.
of course, have you met me? So anyway, we played a game called Witch It. Witch being like a witch that wears a hat, like rides a broom.
I don't know which you were referring to.
Right. So Witch It. And what it is a literal like hide and seek game. It's very cutesy. The art style is really great, and it's very easy to understand the concept of the game. So there's two teams. There's the witches who get to hide and play pranks on each other, essentially. And then there's the seekers that are looking to find the witches. But the witches can turn into objects. So you have a button that you can like basically mimic whatever icon or object that's around you.
And they can
Candlestick,
fly.
a barrel.
Well, it
yeah.
could be like a tree, a barrel, or
Yeah.
it could be like a little book on a shelf. So it's like very hard. And there's a huge map. So you can just turn into something and you just wait. And the seekers have potatoes that they run around with and a chicken, and they throw potatoes at objects to try to determine if it's a witch or not. And if it is, it'll light up and you'll hear the noise and the broom or whatever just start running away. And then you realize they turn into something and they fly away on a broom. But there's different perks and such, and so it's really neat. But the Seekers is actually pretty tough because all you have all these objects everywhere. You're throwing potatoes and chicken that you can let go, and the chicken will kind of just go a couple steps and ping to let you know if there's anything around there. But it's a very hard game to like kind of master.
It was
a lot of fun
hard.
with it.
It was a lot of fun, but it was definitely hard.
I love the progression too, because both sides had special abilities. And the Seeker's special ability was the chicken. Now for the witches, the special ability was not that you could hide, that's just what you do, but you could create a decoy. So you could create a random object. You didn't get choice of what the object was. It's a random object and it kind of falls down to the ground. And then you could kind of like move your cursor around and that moves it around on the screen like it's a witch in disguise running away. So you could decoy and throw the seekers off the scent. And while they're going down there, you can like run away and become something else. Now, those are your beginning skills for both of them. That evolves because then like the witches, you could give up that skill later, you know, in a different game once you go up in level, and you could have a new skill of like, I can't decoy, but as I look around the screen, I can find an object near to me and I can just project myself to that object and become that object. Whereas the normal disguise is that you mimic an object that's already there. So if there was, you know, 2 potted plants on either side of an entrance, you didn't become one of them normally. You would be a third potted plant and it'll look out of place. Whereas the new skill is you become the potted plant that's there. So, and then the seekers would get new skills to like, cause everything in an area to like come together, like in a small, like black hole type thing, and then like hit each other and you could try to identify which is that way. And
It was like a
so
grappling
there,
hook. It's like,
yeah, there was a lot of progression that looked like this game had, and we experienced some of it too. It was fun, and we had lots of randos. We had randos join us, and we had a blast.
And I was like, and I think they were hacking a little bit because like
there was some sus going on.
Maybe on one time, but like for the most part, it was fine.
I will say the game is $5.99 on Steam. It's actually half off right now until December 16th. So if you pick it up right now, listen to this, you'll still pick it up by the time it's ready, but it's 50% off right now. But what I will say is you do need to have some friends with you to play this game because there's not that many people playing it. So you definitely want to have, 3 or 4 people maybe with you, and then maybe open the lobby up to like randos so you can get like a bigger party. But I definitely recommend at least 4.
We had 5. And we had up to like 4 or 5 people that joined us. And that's when it really became fun, when there was like 2 seekers and like
that's when I was like,
6 or 7 other people
next to this hay. Oh, I can't hide on the roof. Like
it was much more difficult and much more balanced at that point too.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, that's no, that's not what we've been playing. We have one more. One more on there.
So I've been playing a game called I don't know if it's Moncage, or how would you pronounce it? I did reach out to the developer studio and direct message them on Twitter, and it was like, hey, I really like your game. I'm having a lot of fun playing it. This is probably overthinking this, but
Block.
how do you pronounce it? It's Moncage. So, and I did do a, hey, Google, how do I pronounce this? And blah, blah, blah. But
How
I
would
didn't hear,
Auntie pronounce it?
how, who?
Auntie?
No.
Moncage?
That's got to be it then.
It's got to be it. Yeah, so we did not hear back from them in time for broadcast, I will say, and definitely still have not heard back. I like puzzle games, so this one's really cool. It is the most unique puzzle game I've seen in a very long time. There's a cube, and you turn this cube, and each face of the cube is a different environment. So it may be a circus tent. It may be inside of a boat. It may be a lighthouse. You turn the cube and connect different things from this face of the cube and this face of the cube. And then I don't want to ruin too much of it. You can turn one thing into a bullet.
Kind of combining shapes to have
Combining
an
shapes.
overall object that is complete in there. Like this shape and this shape all of a sudden becomes a truck.
Yes, a truck, which then once you complete that shape, drives off onto this other part and then gets you into this other level of the game. So it starts off as like this it seems really sweet. You have to search for these pictures. So you find these pictures and you're like, oh, this is clearly from the past, or this is not so distant past. But it gets a little sad. You don't realize you are going to set fire to places. You don't realize that what you're about to do is going to kill somebody. It looks just like I'm just playing like
that's
games.
Not sad. That's dark.
It's super dark. Probably why I like it. But it's just check it out. It's a very difficult game to describe without actually visually seeing what I'm trying to say. It is $14.99 on Steam. It is $4.99 on the Apple App Store. But it is not easy. Thank goodness for the hints. There was one hint. It's like, oh, easy. Like, oh, very broad hint. Less broad hint. They think they're giving you a more detailed hint, and I'm like, I still don't know what to do right now. So but you'll see that the decking of a boat looks very similar to this other face, which is a bench, like a bench or a picnic table, and so you start figuring that out. So things are moving. It is very dimensional inside of these cube faces. So it's pretty awesome. Definitely check it out.
At least go and look at some images of this, because I think Day Drinker is doing a fantastic job of explaining this.
Yeah, and now that you've seen the images.
And yet seeing the images really makes it come together on what she's talking about.
Yeah, it is one of the more difficult puzzle games I have ever played. So
sweet. Have to check it out. You said it's $14.99.
$14.99 on Steam. $4.99 in the Apple apps.
Good that nobody has. Great. Great. Anyway, so that has been what we've been playing recently. So I guess we'll get into our short attention news. So this was an interesting title to see come up as a story, I will say.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting that the choice of it's just interesting. So Steam removed a game called Myth of Empires, which is it's basically a game that is kind of like an old ancient like Chinese type of like fighting game, strategy game, where you can kind of just do a lot of different things. But they basically removed the game earlier this week because of claims from the Arc game studio Evolved, Arc Survival Evolved Studio, because they claim that they actually stole their source code. So they actually took down the game. And since then, the studio has put out, we're really sorry. We're going to figure this out. This is something that we didn't expect. We've heard a lot of rumors out there, but we aren't going to say anything until this is all done. But we'll be with you. Hopefully, everybody will be fine. But basically, they had found some of the comparing the code headers from the Myth of Empires executable compared to Arc. They noticed a lot of different identical even variables, matching classes, and so forth, so on functions for the actual
hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds.
Function names like identical.
Yeah, like everything was identical. So because of that, they did remove it from Steam. So if you do have the game, you can still play it. It's just not available to download anymore until this is all taken care of. And as of right now, there's more than 36,000 people playing this game. So it's not something that's just disappearing. But just a very odd headline to see that they took a game down for stealing another game's source code, which is pretty wild.
This reminds me of when there was a similar thing that happened about a year ago or so, where the people that had their source code stolen had determined it was stolen because they found not only the same names in it, but the same bugs, like very identifiable bugs occur.
Oh, what was that episode? Because I think it was also BK, but yes.
Yeah, I remember that. It was the indie developer, wasn't it? Because it was like, hey, we noticed that you're using our assets that or something.
Oh God.
I'm sure we reported on it some.
We did. Yeah. All right, so Ubisoft uploaded a trailer for their new NFT business basically on YouTube. Ubisoft, I don't know. I'm pulling a mic now. I don't care. At least I'm trying to pronounce it.
You don't know how to pronounce it? Wow.
I've heard it both ways.
It's Ubisoft.
Wow.
It's Ubisoft. I'll go with Ubisoft then, because of Brian. So Ubisoft Courts.
I mean, I don't know much, but that one one I know.
So Bruno pronounces it Ubisoft.
He's Canadian though. You can't trust.
It's also wrong.
Well, they are a Canadian company though. So
yes, but they pronounce it Ubisoft.
Okay, then I'm going with Ubisoft. So this Ubisoft Courts allows people to buy artificially scarce digital items using cryptocurrency, as per the Kotaku article. And
artificially scarce. Right there, we've got a problem.
There's a red flag.
Artificially.
A fake red flag. Artificial.
Artificial flag. Artificial red flag. Yeah.
It's a JPEG of a red flag that's been converted into an NFT and available for $15,000.
It's the Minesweeper flag, red flag.
Exactly. Yes. To which a lot of people were like, huh? I do want to quote straight from here. See, they say Ubisoft does not know what they're doing. So much of the work is being handed off to the blockchain. Ubisoft has no power to reverse or cancel transactions, has no liability for claims or damages is aware that the blockchain may be subject to specific weaknesses, which may make them possibly targets for specific cybersecurity threats, end quote, and has, quote, no liability in the risks implied by the use of this new technology, end quote.
So what you're telling me is that Ubisoft has a good
Virus generator.
lawyer. They have a good
Yeah.
lawyer, and they're going to make a lot of money. So yeah, sounds great.
Apparently, yeah. Like all these people are going to make a whole bunch of money, and you're going to be effed in the A.
Yeah.
I've already told you, F a B,
That's-
it's got more holes.
F in the B, F in the B. Okay.
It's got more. Also, I'll back off. I'll say, Bruno is just as right, because apparently someone investigated and they went and found on Ubisoft's YouTube channel a video of staffers, their own people around the world, pronouncing the company's name. And some of them said Ubisoft, others said Ubisoft, and some of them even said Ubisoft.
UBI. Oh no.
So that was
just
heard.
Ubisoft.
Well,
for the
hold on.
record.
Oh,
That was heard from their Japanese and Chinese speakers,
okay.
because
okay.
the consonant vowel, at least for Japanese, consonant vowel.
Yes.
Oh, what did you say, Mike?
I said, for the record, I actually did say Ubisoft. Rewind.
You said Ubisoft?
Yeah.
Okay.
We all heard you.
Right, yeah. That's what
started this.
Okay. Yeah.
I know. Just
So, another part of
So both are
this
correct.
Kotaku article was talking about how this is something that we reported on. Somebody who reported on the dislike button being removed from YouTube, and how that's really great. In the original intention, supposedly, is for creators who, don't want to be in that position. One,
Or
that's awful.
removing
People
the
see that.
counter.
Removing the counter, yes. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Removing the dislike counter. And that, like, having people, if you've only got 14 viewers and random people come in and dislike, that looks really bad.
You
right?
get
And that can
rated
be-
by assholes.
Yeah, it's a little disheartening and
don't assholes
not
used
okay.
to get
Yeah.
rated?
No,
Oh wait,
No.
no,
it used to be
assholes
raids.
raid.
It used
I
to
know
be
what you did there.
raids.
I know what you did there. I know what you did there. But I gotta circle back and go. No.
Used to be
Um,
raids were nice people going around and promoting each other's channels. And
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, Brian's just it's fine.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later. But they said, quoting this article, another reason was also surely to protect corporations and big names from the PR stain of having a massively disliked video. For instance, this video, there are other ways that you can actually see how many dislikes a video has gotten. Read the article and you'll figure it out. But it looked like by the time that this article was written, there were 1,000 likes and 24,000 dislikes. So,
And that counter would have been great by now. We'd have been at 5 minutes at this point.
oh, I was hoping you weren't going to notice. I saw that
Oh, no,
when
I
you were
absolutely saw it.
talking. There's no more counter. Brian's magic button.
And here we are doing long format again. It's great.
I think it's fun.
We can have a conversation without the children present.
I legit forgot to fix, because I was like, I was
Yeah.
thinking, I need.
He legit forgot. He forgot.
No,
He
I
totally
forgot to
Don't
change.
worry.
I'll change to it, and it's gonna be all messed up.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's all messed up. I legit forgot to change that one. It's still
It's just funny because all we hear now is the boom.
whoosh.
But I don't see anything until the stream hits.
Yeah, it's still got Mike as a DJ, and I was like, shh, because I was like, we were after the break, and I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to change that scene.
It's all.
Forgot the
I'll,
timer.
I'll change back, and I'll do the timer just for Mike.
Sorry,
That's
not sorry, Mike.
Yeah,
Mike will
but
be DJing the whole time.
Well,
Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Woo, 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 woo.
what would you do as a DJ, Mike?
Also,
Oh,
he
wow.
complains about you going long, and he specifically went long on
He
his.
totally went long. He went long. He totally. I
didn't
noticed
have
that, and it
something
was
to
like,
keep me going. I didn't have anything to keep me on the rails.
oh, okay.
All right, you're up, Phoenix.
Yeah. Anyway, so Xbox coming up on the Winter Game Fest demo event. They're going to release over 35 demos of upcoming unreleased games. And that event's going to run from December 7th, which means we're already in it,
Yep.
through December 21st. So go out there if you got an Xbox device, possibly even on Xbox Game Pass for the PC. It doesn't. It does say it's demos to Xbox Series X and S, as well as Xbox One. So it looks like PC is kind of left out on that. But you'll be able to go out and check out a whole bunch of demos via ID at Xbox. I don't have the complete list, but at the time of this wonderful Games Radar article, they talked about Loot River, which is a procedurally generated dungeon crawling roguelite that's part Dark Souls and part Tetris. Kind of curious about that.
That's terrible.
Death Trash, a post-apocalyptic action RPG of bloodthirsty, Lovecraftian beasts and shotgun-wielding punks.
Did you say love trash?
Lovecraftian Death Trash is the name of the game.
Death trash. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blacktail first-person exploration and archery game based on the tale of Baba Yaga. So that's interesting. The Tale of Bistun, an action-adventure game that bridges the real world and an ethereal realm of memory. Also, Nobody Saves the World, which is probably the opposite of every video game that we've ever played.
Yes.
A comedic form-swapping action RPG that lets you build bizarre combos, it's a very different word, on your own and in inline co-op. So all of these games, like just those 5 games, are completely different in description than really any game that I've played in the last 6 months. So that sounds pretty exciting.
Sweet. So as soon as I pull this up here, so Stalker 2, they've announced Stalker 2 is going to be releasing on Xbox, and apparently the space that it's going to take to install this game is going to be 180 gigs to install this on your Xbox. And if you bought the Xbox Series S, you only get 512 gigs.
Yeah, I won't be downloading it.
So you're going to basically take up almost half, like a quarter of your drive is going to be just one game. So it's not the first time we've heard of games like this, like, taking up a lot of space, but it's a massive game. But it's probably going to be worth it. I'm definitely checking that out when it comes out. So,
well, and you're right, it's half, because while it's half a terabyte, 512 gig SSD in the S, part of that's for OS. You only have 364 for game storage.
Right.
So the 180 is literally half. But then again, that's only for something that is Xbox Series enabled. All of your old Xbox One games or anything like that can still be on a USB hard drive that's attached to it too. So,
yeah. I mean, it's going to be a good game. You can always install it when you're done.
Yeah, and I'll just install it right now. So this 2021 CEO Fighting Game Championship Tournament was last weekend. And there were 2 players who were not necessarily what you would consider your typical players. Tinker and Arachius. I'm just gonna go with it, Mike.
And you're like rebelling out tonight.
Yeah, I am, because these are all literally brand new words.
Channeling your inner voice.
Yeah. And I don't have a timer, so I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Rein you back in.
Are what we would consider older players. They came to this tournament to learn about how a really well done professional tournament was done, so that they can improve on their own tournament. Kim and Craig Ketchins are 62 and 71 years old. They've been married for more than 30 years, and they are preparing for their own tournament called the Southeast Mayhem tournament. Southeast Mayhem is an esports community event in our state, specifically the city of Tifton, Georgia, which is south of Georgia. We all know this. Like, I'm not doxing ourselves, right?
What? I don't live in Georgia.
We've talked about.
I live in
Atlanta all the
California.
time. Anyway,
Tifton, like, seriously, I don't think, like, there's people that live in Georgia that don't know where Tifton is.
Yes.
Which is pretty impressive that they're getting an esports event.
It's basically Valdosta, and that's far. I mean,
it's almost Florida.
Yeah, it's almost Florida.
Yeah, it's super south. It is going to be a community event. So Kim and Craig have children of their own, and they grew up playing Game Boys, PlayStations, Xboxes, and they said, as parents, we played alongside them, which I think is awesome. Hey, mom and dad, if you're listening, it's not too late. We can do this, and we can also play in a tournament together. They're competing in this tournament. Literally, they were just there, like, hanging out, having cocktails, like, watching people. They actually competed themselves. So Kim competed in the Marvel 5
Marvel versus Capcom. Now I'm saying it wrong. Marvel versus Capcom 3.
Have I had some wine and I can't read what I wrote? The Marvel versus Capcom 3 tournament. She played against this guy, Rambam, who is really effing good. And a crowd formed, and every time that Rambam would defeat her,
or land an attack,
the landed attack would start booing her. And
booing him.
Booing him. Yeah. Sorry.
They were for her.
Yes.
They were booing Rambam every time he hit her.
They were booing him. I would love that, Kim. I got your back. Is there one left, Mike? And then Craig also competed as Ryu in Iron Man and Akuma. He lost 3-2. Kim placed 97th out of 161 players. So they were doing all of this to find out how well the tournament was run, and basically taking notes. Oh, keep going. I'm not going to stop.
There's a reason why these are called short attention span. Just saying.
We're still finishing early. That's all I have to say.
That has nothing to
do. I love this. We actually probably should have moved this one up. I love it. This Kotaku story is like,
was the ending short? We all decided this.
It's such a positive story. So it was a great thing to end on. The two felt sorry that the people they competed against had to endure jeers from the crowd for their sake, and were thankful how gracious their opponents were at the end of matches.
I don't think people can see us on.
Oops.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
You went black. You went black screen.
But I came back.
It's like you just broke the stream. That's great.
I did. Temporarily.
What is the name of the one that they're throwing?
Mayhem.
Mayhem in the Southeast. Southeast Mayhem.
Southeast Mayhem, yeah. So. And it's February 2nd? Hold on.
Yeah, it's February 4th through 6th.
4th through 6th.
UGA Tifton Campus Conference Center. Interesting.
Yeah.
So
maybe we'll check it out.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's February. At least part of that's over the weekend. 5th and 6th is on the weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go on a road trip.
I'll watch you guys play.
I mean, I'll just hang out.
Oh, well, I mean, we're not going to enter, but you can show up as a crowd.
Brian will, because there's Fortnite.
I didn't think they were doing Fortnite.
So they'll be featuring games like Dragon Ball, Fighter Z, Nickelodeon, All-Star Brawl, Smash Brothers Ultimate.
There's a cosplay contest too.
Hey, there's something for everyone here.
Yep.
That there is.
This is, and especially knowing Tifton, this is actually great. So it'd be interesting to see what we actually get there.
I would say that we should be roving reporters and we should do a road trip.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm down.
Like, and I mean roving reporters, because I've got the wireless mics, I've got the camera.
Yeah, yep.
Let's do it.
And I've got the camera too. We could do this.
Yeah. 5th and 6th.
I've got the wine. No. Oh, I'll get more.
You cannot. Most likely, you are not allowed to bring the wine in.
We can't have any wine there. There'll be no wine.
There's Tifton might be dry. So no, it's too close to the border. Well, fine.
It's a convention. So anyway, that is our quote unquote short attention news.
High five, Brian.
And we move usually into emails. We don't have any emails, but send us one. GOA@sasgaming.com.
Even if it's hate mail.
Even if it's hate mail, send it over. GOA@sasgaming.com, and that way we can check it out. As always, if you're interested in finding all our details to our Discord and to our individual streamer pages, which not many of us really stream so much individually anymore, but more from this page.
Yeah.
I mean,
check all that information out, and our social information, I guess, is probably the more important. But
yeah, because I certainly was streaming on twitch.tv//sasgamers.
Right.
Not slash
gamers account that we're
Switch TV. Oh, that's a new one. Twitch.
I love it when I got to go back and I've got to fix the transcription on that stuff.
Twitch.tv/sasgamers.
And of course, it was also on YouTube/sasgaming.
But if you're interested in getting all these links that we're talking about, just go to sasgaming.com. So SASSgaming.com. You'll find all the links to
everything's there. Everything we can't say is there.
Also, if you are interested in supporting us a little more, somehow monetarily, if you want to, I don't know why, but if you did, you can check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/sasgaming as well. And we have little perks there for you. And, we're open for it. So we get credits at the end of the podcast, but also, if you have anything that you want to suggest as a tier, then we can do that too. So shoot us an email. Let us know. Until then, that is all our got our attention of this week. And we will do, I think, let me see what I'm looking at here. We have...
Are you making commitments we haven't talked about?
No, I was just saying, I think the way these play out, we should have, we shouldn't be missing a different Thursday. Everything is open at this point. We're not, like, holidays don't land on Thursdays. So we should be rocking it out to the end of the year with our end of the year 30th episode there. So, but yeah, so that's it. Thanks for hanging out. And until next time, next week, we'll see you guys later.
Later.